Welcome back to our third segment of our coronavirus pandemic special, A Shot of Hope. Now we're looking at the hope people have for the next 12 months. I asked the governors of both Virginia and West Virginia to offer their predictions about the future of this pandemic.
While Virginia was in a strong place going into COVID-19, I believe we'll be even stronger coming out of COVID-19. I describe it, Martin, I think we're really going to experience the roaring 20s once this pandemic is behind us. People have been cooped up for over a year, and they want to get out there and kind of see the world and get out and get some fresh air. And so I think our economy will rebound.
We don't want to throw these masks away right yet. They're too important right now. You know, I always say one robin doesn't make spring. Well, we just had a few robins fly in, but that doesn't mean the winter storm can't come back. And so with all that being said, I think that opportunity to get rid of this thing forevermore is right in front of us. And if we mess it up, shame on us.
And as the governor said, one robin does not make spring. A year ago, there was a lot of uncertainty over the future and the fight ahead. Now, as that post-pandemic world comes into focus, we're getting a clearer picture of the way out. Our Annie Moore sits down with the state's leaders to learn more about what could return to normal moving forward and the ways will be forever changed.
In the near future, the focus for states will move from wrapping up vaccinations for the older populations to those over the age of 16.
If we don't watch out, you're going to have another demand problem. You're going to have more supply than you got people that have arms to put them in.
And Governor Jim Justice says those vaccinations will be available sooner rather than later.
The reason it will be sooner is because we will need those arms, because we will not allow the vaccine to sit in the warehouse.
But the battle for herd immunity is far from over. That happens when enough people become immune to make the virus's spread less likely. And for that, the COVID vaccine isn't just a one-shot wonder. It'll be recommended every year, just like the flu.
We continue to get the supply. We have 3 effective and safe vaccines now that by the end of May, we'll have the majority of Virginians vaccinated and finally be able to put this pandemic in the rearview mirror.
I think for now, we still want to make sure that people get the vaccine, are patient with us as well, because we do know there are some blips in the road with that. But it's going to be a long haul still with that, because COVID-19 is not going anywhere. So we're working very hard to get the vaccine out to everyone who wants it, make it as quickly and easy as possible, and then work on, making it a long-term process, getting it out, just like you would the flu vaccine. And that's going to take time.
While the vaccines currently out on the market are said to be 95% effective, there are still unanswered questions about how they'll perform in the real world, such as whether those vaccinated can still get infected and spread the virus without any symptoms. Still, looking back, Dr. Ayn Amjad says we've come a long way.
West Virginia should be very proud of where we're standing right now, because people have always dismissed West Virginians as, a state that can't handle their own. And I think it just shows how West Virginia has pulled together.
And we're wiser and a little more ready for the road that lies ahead. Here for you in Beckley, I'm Annie Moore, WVVA News.
All right, thank you for that report, Annie. Now, over the last 365 days, unemployment rates have been a real roller coaster ride, with the summer 2020 peak of 22% across the country. But they've not yet returned to those pre-pandemic levels. Our Maria Sellers is taking a closer look at what we can expect as we move out of the pandemic.
As vaccination rates are rising and restrictions are lifting, unemployment rates are falling. And I spoke to state and local leaders who tell us what we can expect to see with unemployment in the coming months. While the pandemic took a toll on the state economy, state leaders are looking for ways to make up the damage caused to the state economy. West Virginia Governor Jim Justice hopes lawmakers will embrace his proposal to eliminate the state income tax just in time to emerge from under the cloud of coronavirus.
If we don't do this, we are going to lose the opportunity to drive people, drive jobs, drive wages going up, drive home values going up. There's so much opportunity here, and it's not going to stand there and look at us forever.
In addition, State Senator Stephen Baldwin believes that unemployment cases filed over the last 12 months will be resolved sooner rather than later.
I think all the unemployment cases from the past year, they ought to wrap up within the next couple of months.
While numbers of the unemployed continue to fall, Baldwin says the key to making up for the jobs lost is more industry, and creating those opportunities is exactly what a local development authority plans to do.
We see the potential that the current workforce has to be able to pivot into a new industry, and we really feel like we're on the cusp of being able to recruit the industry that can reemploy those workers.
Belcher says the pandemic has actually made company recruitment easier.
So unlike a lot of the more suburban areas that and metropolitan areas that businesses are located in, they had to stifle their operations in a lot of these larger cities like Chicago, New York, and places like that. And so a lot of them are now looking to West Virginia to say, you know, because of your topography and your rural location, it's really attractive for us to look there to potentially locate.
As restrictions ease and businesses move to full capacity, hiring and rehiring is underway. One small business owner we spoke with is hoping things continue to move in the right direction.
I completely understand that the precautions that we're all taking and everything that's happened over this past year, but I honestly can't wait to get some people back in the businesses that we have and start rolling out normally.
Even as more jobs are created, Baldwin says he believes the economy will be forever changed.
The way we work is going to be completely different. The jobs we do will be different. And so the employment situation, I think, is going to change drastically as a result of COVID.
And only time will tell what the data of unemployment will be as we move through this pandemic in the two Virginias. Virginia's Unemployment Commission is expected to release specific details about February's unemployment information later this month. West Virginia's most recent unemployment information will be also. Here for you, Maria Sellers, WVVA News.
And there's no question about the changes the pandemic prompted in public education. But what does the path to normal for schools look like moving forward? Our Brandon Lawson explores what education leaders, faculty and staff, and students are most hopeful about as far as their futures are concerned as the pandemic becomes part of their past.
Optimism is in the air, even though there's also some uncertainty about the road ahead for our education system. The hope overshadows doubts across the nation and here in the two Virginias. In West Virginia, that optimism is leading to a $32 million expense on summer programs to help students make up what may have been lost due to the pandemic.
We are giving that money directly to the counties to build robust summer programs to help get these children not only caught up academically, but giving each of those children the experiences they've missed out on this year, being with friends, socializing, having access to counselors and any of the services.
In the Commonwealth, the focus moving forward is also helping students get up to speed after falling behind during the pandemic.
The agenda will be focused on, addressing the impact of the pandemic, assessing the learning losses students have experienced, and addressing those learning losses, and assessing students, meeting their needs, and helping them make up the ground that's been lost since March of 2020.
We want to add some extra days this summer to help kids catch up, but then we really want our kids to be back in the classroom this fall.
Although state officials hope school returns to some sense of normalcy, signs of the pandemic will linger in schools.
I think the new normal is going to include some mask wearing and some social distancing.
While protocols will likely remain heading into the next school year, there's hope they won't continue to sideline common traditions.
It would be great if we can be at a point where our students can be all in school, that our students can be participating in clubs. They are participating in athletics, but we want to be able to have lots of people there to watch them participate.
And as educators look forward to putting the pandemic year behind them, those we spoke with are enthusiastic about what lies ahead for education when coronavirus is history.
I'm hoping that everybody's back here. I'm hoping that we're able to have class changes. I'm hoping that we get to eat lunch in the cafeteria. I'm hoping that we get to have a homecoming parade and a homecoming court that goes out on the field on Friday nights. I'm hoping that we get to do our sweetheart court in the winter.
We need the fun part of school back. The sports, the pep rallies, all of the things that make it fun. We need that back.
Let's have some assemblies. Let's have some theater productions, band productions.
As a school, I just would love to see us getting back to the basics and focusing on education for the students.
For senior students, that hope is more short-term, as many traditions they will not be able to get back are fast approaching.
I think it would mean a lot to every senior to be able to have the things that, really make the end of senior year just really important to us. So the experiences at prom, the memories of graduation, I think we're all hoping to be able to at least have that out of all the things that we haven't been able to do this year.
For younger students, it's about getting back to the fundamentals of school, and their hope stretches beyond academics.
I want sports games, I want to see my teams play, and I definitely want to get back to normal.
I would want regular sports and gatherings and being able to see all of my friends and being back to normal.
I hope it's where we can play sports again without having to wear a mask and stuff, and be able to have all of our family there and support us during games and stuff.
While it seems like everyone we talked with longs for the word normal to return to the education system, the words fun and excitement are important factors in returning to that sense of normalcy. Here for you, Brandon Lawson, WVVA News.
Thank you for that, Brandon. 1 year later, and the question remains, where are we headed? Have masks become a permanent accessory? Will testing become a routine practice? Our Hannah Howard takes a look at those questions and more as she explores the lasting impact of COVID-19 on health.
Wearing a mask has become as routine as getting out of bed in the morning or feeding my cat. But will there ever be a day I don't have to grab a mask on my way out the door? The first step, herd immunity.
Where somewhere between 75 to 85% of the population are immune against the virus, hopefully due to vaccination.
And that day could be coming soon.
Maybe this summer, maybe sometime in this fall, I don't know when exactly. And when we get to that point, I think we're going to be able to do a lot more to reduce some of these non-pharmaceutical interventions that we talk about, masking, distancing.
But it's not time to throw out the mask completely. America saw very few influenza cases over the past year. Experts credit that to masking and social distancing.
Who knows, in the future, we may see that there'll be times when we recommend people for a short period of time mask or physically distance to limit the spread of other respiratory infections.
What about hospitals? What does the future hold?
Our staff and physicians have really had to give the hospital and the community care our all. And while we, are here for that purpose, it's still been a very challenging time. So hopefully we will continue to see this trend of declining COVID and be able to get back to business as normal.
A bed for every patient, ample staff to provide care, family and friends gathered for support. But what about COVID-19 testing? How will that evolve with time?
I also wouldn't be surprised if during periods of time when the virus is circulating again, let's say, that we have more use of home tests where you can test yourself to see if you might have it so that you can kind of pull yourself out of circulation, if you will, just to be on the safe side.
The COVID-19 pandemic leaving a lasting impression on America's response to health crises.
We've learned a lot. We need to take that and be prepared for future pandemics and put into place things like the scientific investments, the surveillance projects, and all these other tools to not only detect early, but be able to respond early.
A forever reminder of just how fragile human life really is.
We're a physical species by nature. We shake hands, we hug when we see people, and that's something that we haven't had for some time, and I look forward to that very soon.
Here for you, Hannah Howard, WVVA News.
Excellent report. Thank you, Hannah. And 1 year ago, day-to-day life looked bleak because pandemic restrictions were starting. 1 year from now, there's lots of hope for brighter days if we can put the pandemic behind us. Our Christina Cass reports.
Hope for the future fills a lot of people with optimism as they picture their lives after the pandemic.
Getting back to where you're not afraid to go out, sit down and have a sandwich somewhere.
Strictly normal, like we was before. Everybody can just, touch things without worrying about catching anything.
I hope that everything goes back to normal and that they take the masks away is the most big thing, and that they take a lot of the restrictions away, and just that everything gets to go back to normal soon.
Some feel that life as we knew it may never quite be the same again.
Our life is not going to be the normal that we knew it before. It's not ever going to be that. We're going to have to periodically take precautions like this.
I still see a lot of fear. I think a lot of people are going to be afraid to go out and about, but you can't live your life that way. You need to get out and do what you want to do.
While others long for the familiar, going back to more ordinary times.
It's comforting to know that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that we're starting to get to a point where we're not across the bridge yet. We're still wading through the water, but we're getting to a point where it's a little bit normal.
I think it's going back to normal slowly. They opening up most of the restaurants and everything, but I still like to be cautious.
Businesses take note of daily changes in customer flow, changes that are for the better.
People that are getting the shots, like I've got a lot of customers that have come in lately that have gotten the 2 shots, and their first thing when I go to take their temperature at the door, they're like, oh, I've had my 2 shots.
Something that really pushed us back is that movie studios are afraid to release their film now, that they don't know what revenue is going to look like for them. They don't know if they're going to face a loss.
The wish for the return to a time of outdoor fairs and festivals may be granted.
And now that the weather is starting to break a little bit, we're starting to get excited again. We've talked to many people that are hoping that we have a state fair.
We're all sort of like gearing into that moment when we can open our doors and start having live events again. You can feel the crackling of energy on the street that's bustling. And at times on the weekends, you look out the window and you wouldn't even know that we're in the midst still of this pandemic. You can just feel that energy rising.
Here for you in Mercer County, Christina Cass, WVBA News.
All right, thank you for that report, Christina. And if you're wondering about the future of sports, we're going to share that with you coming up tonight on WVBA News.
Yeah, be sure to tune in for that.